Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into this panel for the 32nd New Orleans Film Festival Filmmaker Conference. I hope you've been enjoying this year's lineup and the conference offerings so far, and that you will continue to do so for as long as you can while they're still offered on Eventive. My name is Danishi Brown. I'm the Artist Engagement and Programming Manager for the New Orleans Film Society, and I will be in conversation today with Tony Armour, the Film Commissioner for the St. Petersburg and Clearwater, Florida Film Commission. And we're going to be chatting today about what film commissions are, ways you should and maybe haven't been using them, and a whole lot more. Thank you so much to the St. Petersburg Clearwater Film Commission for their generous support of this program and our festival. And so without further ado, let's hop into the discussion. For starters, Tony, I'd love to just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us what is a film commission and what is your role at St. Petersburg Clearwater?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I love the New Orleans Film Festival. I've been attending for many years now and always really excited to support the festival and independent film festivals, all over the country. So thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Tony Armour. I'm the film commissioner for St. Pete Clearwater, Florida. And, what is a film commission? It's interesting because that can really be defined in a few different ways. My film commission office is a part of Visit St. Pete Clearwater, which is the tourism office for our area here, the Tampa Bay area, and St. Pete Clearwater. Other film commission offices sometimes are part of the mayor's office, are part of economic development. And so, in a nutshell, what our job is to help any production when it is filming in our area, whether it's a feature film, a commercial, a digital project, even down to student films, just make sure that they have all the resources that they need to complete their projects, basically. So, we provide film permits for shooting in the area to make sure that you're, everybody just likes to know what's going on. No one likes to be surprised. So, we provide film permits. We provide resources to help you find production crew. We have a location database to help you find locations. A lot of times, we're sort of networking connectors. We're going to put this person with this person. Oh, you should talk to so-and-so. And so, we field a lot of questions and do a lot of different things. And, something that we have done here in St. Pete Clearwater that's a little bit different from other film commissions is, we're actually actively involved in helping create content in our area as well. We've had a digital creator program that we had over the years where we help digital creators get their content created and provided free resources like studio space. We've done a lot of educational workshops and panels, similar to this, but bringing in whether it's directors or cinematographers or editors or, color correction, on a variety of things. And then, one of the things we've really been focusing on the last, year or so is helping to create content that can also double as sort of a tourism piece for our area. We have an Amazon Prime show called Life's Rewards that we created that is a narrative show, but is also, a tourism related kind of highlighting and showcasing the area as well. So it's really a wide variety of things that we do, but we're here to help filmmakers, get their projects done, basically.
That's really incredible and already a super expansive way of understanding film commission. I think it, so often gets reduced to permitting and things like that, but you guys are clearly doing so much more work over there, especially for emerging filmmakers and sharing resources. That's incredible. So I'd love to know, how does one fall into this line of work? What is your background?
Yeah, so I've been a filmmaker, for 20 plus years or something like that. I started making, little short films on Super 8 actual film back, when I was in high school. So kind of, getting started there. And I, being a filmmaker, I also started the Sunscreen Film Festival, you'll see on the backdrop behind me, here in St. Pete. And, we're going into our 17th year in 2022 for that festival. And, directed, produced, documentaries and short films and feature films and a little bit of everything. Have my own production company for many years that I started in 2002. And so, you don't ever really start out in this business as, like one day film commissioner. That's the that's the goal. That's what I want to do. But I happened to call the film commissioner's office here back in 2014 or something like that, and was talking with Jennifer Paramore, who was the film commissioner for 22 years in this area, and she told me she was retiring, and I was, congratulations, and then just jokingly said, "What do I have to do to get your job?" And she was like, "Well, if you applied, you would probably be the one to get it." And so I was like, "All right." Applied for the job, and went through the interview process and everything, and 7.5 years later, still here.
Wow, that's incredible. And also congratulations. I mean, 17 years for Sunscreen Film Festival is, that's incredible.
Yeah, we're not quite to the 32 that you have in New Orleans yet, but keep plugging away and we'll get there eventually.
I think the pandemic years count for about a decade each.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I count them that way.
I have those extra gray hairs coming in now because of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, that you're coming into this role from the perspective of a filmmaker, and so you have some insight into what those needs are and what the curiosities may be that people have. And you talked a bit about the different things that film commissions offer. I think that when so many people think of a film commission, they think of these bigger budget projects, which is, you do a lot of work with those, of course, but they think of things like permitting and all these other things that can feel really intimidating to someone who is new to, filmmaking and the process. But they can be, as you're saying, excellent resources for emerging and independent filmmakers as well. I'm curious, what would you say are some of the most underutilized offerings that people should be taking more advantage of who are new to the industry for film commissions?
Yeah, and coming from a background of being an independent filmmaker as well, that's kind of where my heart lies, and so I'm always willing to help independent filmmakers. I even have student filmmakers who will call me up and just say, "Can we just sit down and have a coffee and ask advice?" And I have no problem and do it all the time, just to literally sit down and meet at a Starbucks somewhere and, or do a Zoom or a call or whatever, and just, kind of talk people through things or give them, information. One of the things I think filmmakers forget about the permit process, or they don't know, and it's something that I kind of really trying to force on young filmmakers and emerging filmmakers is, I ask them, do you want to be a professional filmmaker? Do you want to be a professional in this industry? And of course, they always say, well, yes, yeah, of course I do. It's like, well, what do professionals do? Professionals get film permits. Professionals do the things that professionals do. So if you want to be that, you should start doing the things that professionals do. And in our area, film permits are free. So it's not like, it's going to be a huge expense for whatever you're going to do. You have to have insurance, of course, and people think that insurance is super expensive, but there are resources out there, and we have a whole page on our website about insurance in a video that we created. There's a company even called Thimble.com. It used to be called Verifly, and it started out as doing drone insurance, but you can literally get insurance by the day for your production. So you just have a 3-day shoot, you get insurance for those 3 days. And sometimes, depending on the size of your crew, you could get it for as little as $25 a day for insurance to get like $1 million liability policy. So there's kind of no excuses for not getting the insurance, getting a permit. If you have some big action scene that you're planning in car chases and fights and stunts and things like that, of course the cost will go up because you're going to have to hire off-duty police officers and maybe close a road and do things like that. But if you're doing a simple walk and talk, or someone's having a conversation on a park bench somewhere, no reason, not to get a permit, even if it's something a little more complicated than that. It's something that, professionals do it. So if you want to be a professional, you should start doing that as well. I think some other underutilized things are, like our location database, where if you're looking for a location, we have close to 10,000 locations in our database where you can search for houses and, not just like beaches, but hotels and bars and restaurants and, whatever you might think of that, you need as far as a location goes. The when you need crew, we get obviously productions that come in from out of town and they don't know anybody here. So how do you find the people? Well, there's a production guide on our website. You can search for grips and gaffers and ACs and every other position imaginable for your production. So I think it's really just, utilizing all of the resources that we make available, not just, okay, I have to get a permit, so I have to contact the film commission now, but what else can we help you with? We can help you find those locations and the crew, and like we talked about the educational workshops that we do, and helping promote other events. We've got a variety of film festivals in the area here besides Sunscreen, and we support all of those film festivals as a sponsor, and we'll talk on panels like this at film festivals everywhere. So there's a lot of things that we do, and you just have to ask, really.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, like you said, practice makes perfect. So just practicing that professionalism, it follows you through a career, but also it's incredible to hear that you have a database for crewing up and finding locations, because that is such a roadblock for so many people. And on the flip side, I'd love to know, it can be difficult to know where to look for certain resources for many beginners, and you've shared a little bit about you shared a lot about what a film commission is. Can you talk about what it isn't, and what are some common perceptions that filmmakers may have, or some of the stranger calls that you might get?
Yeah, well, there are some very common and frequent calls that we get. One is, will you read my screenplay and help me find a producer to finance my film? And no, unfortunately, that's not what we do.
I was going to give you a
it's
call immediately.
yeah, it's the nature of the business, especially young filmmakers or emerging filmmakers are like, where do I find the money to make this project that I want to do? And there's no easy or simple answer for that. That's a whole other topic for a whole other workshop that we could do. The other questions that I get, are a lot of actors reaching out and, can you get me a role on this film? Or, of course, that's not something that we do either. Or, some frequent questions like, my son or daughter wants to be an actor, what should they do? How can they, get involved in the industry? And we actually do have some links and some resources on our website that kind of lay some things out. Well, here are local casting agents and casting directors, and here are, theaters and workshops and things like that you can do. And I always tell, again, so many times somebody asks of something, you have to ask a question to kind of figure out what they really want. So the question a lot of times is, if somebody wants to be an actor, is like, do you want to be an actor or do you want to be famous? Because those are two different things. If you want to be an actor and learn the craft of acting and be a professional actor, do theater, start with theater and progress from there. But if you want to be famous, well, there's Instagram and reality TV and things like that. You could find your way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction to make. I didn't realize that you would also get those calls for actors too, but that makes sense since there's that connection to the local productions that are happening in town. But yes, everyone watching, please know that that is not necessarily a role that your local film commissioner can help you with. But thinking of things that do happen on your end, we're now in year 2, or as I like to call it, our sophomore year of which is
right.
cool and assumes we only have 4 more semesters to go. But I'd love to hear about how COVID-19 has affected the role of film commissions, and what part, if any, is played in regulating safety measures for productions coming to town, or even, locals. Just how has that shifted your job?
Yeah, well, since we're in our sophomore year, I hope we graduate early. To kind of move on from that, get those extra credits in, so we can move ahead. Yeah, it's interesting. When everything first started, people just had no idea what to do. Productions had shut down and they weren't sure, okay, now what do we do? And fortunately, actually, the state of Florida was one of the first areas in the country to come out with a recommendations list of things that you should and shouldn't do when getting back to work safely. And then once the unions sort of got their policies and procedures in place that laid out even more what needs to be done. So much of what happens on set really doesn't matter from the film commission perspective. It's really a matter of the the productions themselves. If it's a union production, obviously you have to follow the union regulations, getting tested 3 days a week. And if you're vaccinated, you only have to get tested so many times. If you're not vaccinated, zone A, you can, they can tell you have to be vaccinated or you can't work on the production. Zone B. And so it's like a whole, kind of thing. Some productions will require everybody in the production to be vaccinated. Others, just focus on zone A. It really depends. And then from the film commission perspective, our job is just to make sure people have all of the accurate information. So if someone is shooting a commercial or they're shooting a short film or a student production or something that maybe isn't going to fall under union regulations, we make sure that, well, again, if you want to be a professional, no reason you wouldn't want to do the things professionals do. So take a look at the union regulations, maybe follow those same procedures that they do. And understandably, if you're a short film, you don't have the budget to pay for testing every day for your actors and crew, but there are still things that you can do to keep people safe. And masks, and there are places where you can get a free test before production starts to make sure that everybody's good to go before you start production. And then if it's a multi-day shoot, just making sure that you're not doing anything too crazy when you're on your off hours, so that you can come back and still be still safely shoot. So a lot of it is really just us providing advice, because so many areas have different regulations, whether it's states or regions or things like that. And being Florida, some of the rules aren't as strict as they are in other areas. Los Angeles is much more strict than it is here. I believe starting November 1, you can't even walk into a restaurant or anything unless you're vaccinated in LA. And so, that's a big difference here, where you don't even have to wear a mask indoors unless you want to in the state of Florida. So it really depends on, a lot of it is, what your personal preferences are, what you're doing to keep your set safe and keep your crew and cast feeling safe, and then following those, union regulations as well.
And how, I mean, you noted how different things were at the beginning of the pandemic, at the start of 2020, where people just sort of didn't know what to do. Has there been a change in, the amount of films being made in the region? Has that number gone down or risen, or what's the trend been looking like?
Yeah, once people, I think, got comfortable being back on set, it's been all out, a dead sprint for productions. Before we started the recording here, I had mentioned that, this year for our office for the St. Pete Clearwater area, Film Commission has been around 30 years or so. This year will be the most film permits we've ever issued in a year. And again, a lot of digital content and commercials and music videos and wide variety of stuff like that. But then feature films are kind of, full back in and running in this area too. And we don't have a state incentive like Louisiana does. You guys have got a great incentive there, where it really, supports films coming to the area, but we have a regional incentive in the St. Pete Clearwater area. So, I'm able to give 10% cash back to productions that shoot here. And it really makes sense for projects that are budgeted $2 million or under. Once they get over that $2 million budget, it makes more sense to shoot in a Louisiana or Ohio or Oklahoma or somewhere that has a larger, percentage for that incentive. But you can't fake, sugar white sand, beautiful beaches in Ohio or Louisiana or Oklahoma. So if you want some of that great scenery that we have here, come and shoot and get that, 10% back. So, I just had a Hallmark Channel film shoot in August, and it actually just premiered. They move so fast with those projects. It's shot in August, wrapped at the very end of August, and was on air October 9th. And so that one was called South Beach Love, and they are what they are, but it was great. It was nice film to have, and had another romantic comedy called A Taste of Love that shot in July, and that one will be coming out, sometime 2022. And I have 5 more feature films that are shooting right now, basically before the end of the year. And these are all smaller, low budget, $500,000 to $1 million films, in that range. But, because of our incentive program here, we're able to attract them, and then they're able to, shoot in Florida and enjoy the beautiful weather and get great shots and great scenery and everything else.
That's incredible. Wow. And yeah, it must mean that there's a lot of jobs to be had as well for, people who are crew members and looking for positions. That's incredible to hear.
There's a lot. This is, again, being such a big sort of commercial area. That's what supports everybody,
Mm.
year round. And then the feature films are sort of, like the fun projects. And these smaller feature films are actually really great training ground opportunities for people. So you'll have, a lot of people who are going to work on these larger films don't want to, work for 150 or $200,000, or I'm not sorry, $200 a day on a small indie feature. But if you have been a PA for a while and you want to move into a different department and increase your skills and try other things, it's a great opportunity to do that. Or if you're a student filmmaker or somebody who's just getting started and doesn't know what to do, you're still going to get paid, but these are opportunities to work and do a lot more on a small film and sort of grow your resume.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's, yeah, like you're saying, opportunity of variety and of different projects to work on. And you talked a little bit about, the beautiful beaches and the things that you can't find anywhere else. I'm thinking over the past decade or even more, the South has really picked up on its productions, and there's so many films shot in Louisiana and Florida
Oh
and
yeah.
Georgia and just other parts of the regions that have been transformed into completely different places. I'd love to know what are some of the most impressive titles you've worked with at St. Pete.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we had Tim Burton in town for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It's a mouthful to say there. But they shot the bulk of that film, I believe, in Wales in the UK, but there's a portion of it that takes place in Florida. And so they shot all of the Florida stuff in this area. And so that was, really just a couple of weeks of filming, but it was great, having Tim Burton in town and doing what he does, and had the opportunity to, sit down and talk with him. And, obviously a super creative guy. And so that one was a lot of fun. We've had these 3 Hallmark Channel films. We're starting to develop a little niche as sort of these romantic comedy, Hallmark type films that are coming to the area. We recently had a comedy called Lady of the Manor with Justin Long and Judy Greer, Melanie Linsky, and Ryan Felipe that shot here. Another thriller with Harry Connick Jr. and Katherine Heigl called Fear of Rain. Actually, a really great one that has come out this year that I don't know if people have had a chance to see yet is Zola. So A24, did Zola, and that was all shot in the Tampa Bay area here. Excuse me. And hopefully it gets a little Oscar buzz. Would love to see see that film that's shot here, getting a little Oscar buzz. And that was a pretty cool shoot. And then it was great to see. I saw it at Sundance 2020 before the world ended. And it was supposed to come out in 2020, and they pushed it until now. But if people haven't had a chance to see that, it's a really good film and a really unique take on that whole Twitter Zola thread kind of thing. So hopefully it gets a little Oscar love this year.
Gosh, such a fun movie, and it's so, it's so deeply Florida. Like it really
Oh
can
yeah.
touch all of those locations. So yes, if you haven't seen it yet, please do. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, Zola was good.
oh yeah, good stuff. So I mean, what makes making a film in this region special to you? Why should people who are based there make films, but also, why should people be looking to St. Pete, Clearwater, to the South in general, to some of the locations that you're talking about, to tell stories?
Yeah, it's not just that we have beautiful locations. We've got a diversity of locations as well. You can have, that gritty urban kind of look that takes place in a lot of Zola, to beautiful beaches and quaint little small towns, and sort of a variety of things like that. But there's great experienced crew in the area, And I think a big factor is that it's really film friendly here. If a film is being shot here, people are excited about it, and they're like, "What can I do to help? How can we help you make your film?" And our all of our cities within Pinellas County that we call St. Pete Clearwater area. I've got 24 cities that sort of fall under my jurisdiction, and
Mm.
every one of these little communities is always excited if they have a film shooting in their area. And whether it's the local government or it's just businesses, people are generally really happy to help out and want filming to take place there. Unlike, say Los Angeles, where people get very jaded and, oh, you want to shoot on the sidewalk in front of my restaurant? You got to pay me $5,000. Um, silly things like that, where you're here, people are just excited to have production happening and, want to help.
Yeah, that rings true. Tony, thank you so much for this conversation and for sharing all of this. I hope everyone tuned in has, learned a little something new and reaches out to your local film commissioner. Before we close out, I mean, any closing thoughts, and also where can people go to learn more about St. Pete Clearwater and what you're doing and some of the resources you talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, like you said, just reach out to your local film commissioner, whatever area that you're in. They're there to help, and happy to help. I hope they're happy to help you. Get your projects done. If you want to shoot in Florida here in the St. Pete Clearwater area, filmstpeteclearwater.com is our website. You can just Google it as well. Film Commission St. Pete Clearwater. You get the website, and you'll be able to see a lot of the projects we've had over the years, like we talked about the locations. Yeah, and my office phone number and email address are on the website. So please shoot me an email, reach out, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can for you. See if we can get you shooting your film here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tony. And thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in. Please do follow up on that offer. It sounds like a great one. And please continue to enjoy the festival, all the panels and the films and the lineup for as long as you can while they're still up. And then we'll see you again next year.